so this kind of takes me on to my next question, the final question before our game. Soft skills, right? We talked about, we just talked about the older generation that has been in the mix for years, right? They've been doing data science since the buzzword started and probably beforehand, right? But doing it more manual, not really as automated. And then also you have the younger generation that's out there, right? And so one of the things I mentioned in a article that I did, I don't know, it was about a year ago, talked about soft skills being one of the most important things. And when you think about soft skills, I remember I was always told I had this knack for like soft skills, right? And this was when I first started out in the technology industry, and I didn't really know what that was. I was in my early 20s. I was like, oh, I just like talking to people and things like that, right? And so, and as I got older, I realized how important that was, because you look at the data scientist or you look at the programmer or whatever it is next to you, and you realize how difficult it is for them maybe to have that skill. And that involves things like communication and listening or socializing or teaching and things like that. So do you see, you can tell right now that, the audience can tell that you have soft skills, right? Have you always had that? And do you see that that's something that you can learn or build on, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, absolutely. You can get better at it. This is what we're doing now. This kind of conversation is not terribly different from public speaking, let's say, which is, like anything is a skill thing. Some of it is trying to decide, part of, I think, the art of public speaking that comes into play in something like this is, coming up with an answer, but saying, oh, how can I answer that in 2 minutes? How can I answer that in 6 minutes? How can I answer that in 20 minutes? The wheels are always turning on that. And, sometimes, in my LinkedIn Learning role, that they'll say, hey, Keith, that was pretty good, but could you shave 30 seconds off that? And you do like another take. In the sense, it's almost like being like a television journalist or something like that. I feel almost like David Attenborough, describing the birds flying by that say, Sir David, can you shave off 45 seconds there or whatever? Because they really are keeping track of how many minutes, right? So that's a skill that I've developed over time. That probably is what people would be experiencing if they had that the reaction now. But the thing about soft skills is, I think that, because I did a course for LinkedIn Learning on soft skills, and the course has done well, and the feedback has been very positive. But it doesn't do as well as, let's say, my ensembles course or my advanced decision trees course. And I think it's because people devalue that a little bit. They go, oh, by soft skills, does Keith just mean, being a good communicator? Well, I don't need to watch some course to do that. But it's much more specific than that. It's that, okay, you're the modeler and you're going to have a meeting with the subject matter expert. Well, hopefully you're a friendly person or whatever.
Right.
I'm even kind of laughing saying it, because I don't know what people think this is. It's not just, did you make eye contact? Were you friendly? Did you shake the subject matter expert's hand? This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about very specific things. You got a limited amount of time with this person. What should you be thinking about before the meeting, right? How do you look at this meeting from their standpoint? They are a chemist, or they're a surgeon, or they're a helicopter pilot. They're not thinking about this kind of stuff. You have to train really to look at it from their point of view, so that you use that 30 minutes to maximum effectiveness.
Right.
So I think, taught well, these are soft skills infused with the technical aspect, right? They're soft skills in the service of doing a good job technically. So taught well, I think they're highly specific to the problem. They're not just eye contact and friendliness, or whatever. All those things are valuable. You're right, but I think you just kind of pick that up in the workplace by being around for a while. If you seek out opportunities to interact with others. But soft skills in the technical space, I think, are much more specific than that, and I think they can be trained, and I think they're very powerful.
Yeah, and just to add to that, when I look at soft skills, I think it plays a bigger role when you start to get closer to the people that are the decision makers, the people that are the C-level execs, right? The those folks, having soft skills is key, right? When you're just sitting there and you're in your programming world, or you're next to somebody, and y'all are just, talking about, so the next code, or the next whatever it is you're looking for, as far as technical, just the technical skills, it's a little bit different, right? But you have to really hone in on your soft skills when you get to that level, when you are communicating to those C-level execs, for sure.
Absolutely. So for instance, there's almost always a power dynamic between the data scientist, unless you're a chief analytics officer, and there's not very many of them, not just because there's not a lot of C-levels. Most companies don't even have somebody with, like a data science or an analytics background that's a C-level. Usually
Right.
they're director level or something like that. So that's the
Right.
main reason why they don't have them. But there's almost always a power dynamic, in terms of just the organizational chart between a data scientist. So let's say somebody is right from bachelor's, they went into one of these like 2-year masters of data science programs. So they're a year into their career job and they're a modeling lead. They could be 23, 24 years old. Okay. Very good at their job, very competent, having what we would traditionally associate with good soft skills, because they got there, they got into their master's program, they're successful, right? But now they have to have a serious sit down with a 61-year-old senior VP of manufacturing worldwide or something, and explain to that senior VP why they're going to be over budget and 2 weeks late.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a different kind of a thing, right? So that's the kind of soft skills, again, that I would associate with this, not just in a generic sense, but anticipating the fact that as a data scientist, you're almost always going to have this power dynamic between you and the internal clients that you serve. And how do you navigate that? Because a lot of young data scientists avoid those issues.
They avoid it. You're right.
They just don't want to tell anyone, as if the lateness of the project is going to take care of itself. They just go into hiding, right? Or they don't give their boss the information that they need so that their boss can navigate that, right? In other words, they're thinking of it too much through a technical lens, and they're not thinking about through the organizational implications of their actions or inactions.
That's a great point. They're looking at it from the technical lens. And I mean, over time, they'll probably learn, right? And you have to be exposed to situations where, I always talk about exposure. I even wanted to do my dissertation when I first got in on exposure theory or something like that, but I just truly believe exposure is key in all these things that we talk about. And that's just how you get to the next level, but you have to be able to embrace it. Don't run from it. So you're bringing up some great points. All right, now to the fun stuff. All right.
That's the game you've been talking about. Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah.
What it's all about.
It's only going to be about 5 questions. Okay. Well, 5 topics, but and it'll probably last about 5 minutes. That's it, if that. But the game is called Overrated, Underrated, and I got it from a motivational speaker that I saw. I follow him on Instagram and different social media platforms. His name is Gary V, and he was talking about, he always does this thing called, he just started doing this thing called Overrated, Underrated, and he'll just come. They will present him with any topic. It doesn't matter, and we'll keep it to a couple of technical, but 1 or 2 outside of technology topics, right? And so you, being the guest on the podcast, you would say whether something is overrated or underrated, and that's it. Or you can say, it is where it is, right?
Okay.
If you think that it is where it is. And you can give your little spill on, or explain why if you want to, or you can just keep it moving, right? But just a little fun game, just to get the interviewee's opinion on some things, right, in the world. So
sure.
Okay. Open source.
Overrated.
All right.
And the reason is because it's not really free. You should make a thoughtful decision about any purchase, even if the purchase seems to be free.
Oh, nice, nice. That's a good. That's something to really take in for a lot of people out there that always talk about open source. All
Yes.
right. So next, the mouse. The
Oh,
like.
I didn't even know that was a thing. So I don't know if it's if my answer is neutral or underrated because I still use a mouse. Does that
Mhm.
does that make me old? Am I officially old now?
No, no, no. Because some people still go back to the. They're saying, "Oh, the mouse pad is it," or instead, But no, no, no. I think that's fine.
On my Mac, I use the touchpad most of the time, but when I'm set up at a desk, um, yeah, I don't use it as often as I used to, but I like having the option.
Yeah, I
So,
feel lost without the mouse. All
yeah,
right.
I,
I
I
feel
hope
like
I
it's
hope it doesn't go away, I guess is my hope.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I actually saw a post the other day where they had the old mouse, where you had the ball in it, and it would get like I don't even remember that mouse where they had the ball in the mouse and you could take the ball out of it, and it would actually collect dust around that area. So I have to send it to you. I don't know if you remember that mouse
Yeah.
though. Okay, all right. So social media for learning technical stuff.
Uh, this one's this one's a little tricky because I feel like I have to give two different answers. So if we're talking about like a marketplace for ideas, more like, whether it's paid, free, whatever. So like a YouTube, Udemy, and so on. There's
Mhm.
really good content found in each of those, but I've got to say overrated because you often have to wade through, a
Ah,
lot of stuff. And it can, in other words, it can take a lot of effort to find what you need.
yeah, there needs
Sometimes
to be some
having
data catalog or something for that stuff, right?
sometimes an abundance can be like a bad thing, right? So
Mhm.
I say it with reluctance because there are some YouTubers that I think are just fabulous, but
Yeah.
but if you find a good one, you're
Hmm.
great. But the search can be arduous. Um, whereas LinkedIn Learning, it's funny because we were having a comment earlier. There are a lot of folks that not only aren't as familiar with LinkedIn Learning, but sometimes people even have access to it and don't know that much about it because they
Hmm.
have premium LinkedIn, maybe because they've been
Hmm.
doing a job search or something. And some of those packages come with it for free. And I've met people that didn't realize that they had it for free. So, I'm biased, I'm on the platform, but I say
Yeah.
underrated there. And the reason I say underrated is that I meet a lot of people that aren't familiar with it yet. And it's very carefully curated. There
Hmm.
are a lot of topics they've chosen one expert to speak on the subject.
Hmm.
Virtually all of the authors are invited to the platform because of their previous expertise. So
Oh,
it's an amazing platform. There's hundreds of millions of people on LinkedIn, and
yeah.
millions of them are also on LinkedIn Learning, but somehow there's still people out there that aren't familiar with it.
I would say I honestly was not familiar with it, or kept. I would hear about it, but it was not really. It didn't really get me until I started to research more when I was going to interview you, and um, yeah, I would definitely. I mean, I guess you need, like you say, you need a premium account and all that stuff, but I mean, that's something I would definitely like for you to, promote on here at the end, and then, maybe we can, I can figure out a way for people to really look into it a little bit more, because I think that, like you said, it's careful. If it's carefully curated, I mean that's better because when you look at most of these platforms, they have everybody's an expert. Everybody's no, so you don't know whether they're the
Yeah,
expert or not. You got to pay for it beforehand.
there's 30 versions of everything, right?
Yeah.
Whereas most major topics are covered on LinkedIn Learning once or twice, and if they're covered more than once, it's because there's a different spin on it. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah. So I just think it's an amazing thing, and I watch a lot of the courses on it myself, so I'm also a consumer of that material, and I'm just super impressed with it. So again, perhaps biased, but I think it deserves even more attention than it's already getting.
All right. Well, you all hear that from the expert. Go to LinkedIn Learning and get that premium account. All right, three more. Cable.
Oh, like actual like TV?
Yeah, like TV cable.
Yeah. I haven't. I haven't had a cable box for years.
Uh-huh.
Initially, because I was such a heavy business traveler that it killed me that I was spending a lot of money and I wasn't even home sometimes the whole month. I
Hmm.
have no desire to go back. So,
Yeah.
but I don't even know if it's a thing. So I guess I'll say overrated because I just think
Yeah.
it's gone or it's lingering on.
I agree with you. I think it's lingering on. I know some people that still have it. My parents, for some reason, they have it. And I'm like, cut the cord. I'm telling, you got all these streaming apps, streaming technologies. Just stop it. So yeah,
My folks are in their 80s now, so they can do whatever they're most comfortable
whatever
with as
they
far
want
as
to.
TV watching goes. But they will grab their newspaper in the morning and they will circle. Don't forget at 7 o'clock we have to tune in for our favorite show. And then for those of us binge watching on Netflix, that's just kind of bizarre. But again,
Yeah,
they've earned the right to watch TV however they want to watch TV.
yeah, absolutely. All right, two more. The desktop.
Oh, I don't think desktops are gone. I really don't. COVID has caused me to rethink like my whole setup, at home, and I'm seriously contemplating getting, um, a new cinema display, but like an iMac, I guess it is, right? But then
Yeah,
like also having the laptop. So laptop is like
yeah.
it's super indulgent, right? But since I live on my computer, I feel like I can justify this indulgence. I'm seriously considering having a laptop for like moving around the house, but a permanent setup. It's also possible because of things like this, where I can have the mic plugged in and webcam
Mhm.
set up just right so that I'm not plugging in and unplugging my laptop. Yeah. So I think for somebody that wants a permanent setup at a desk,
Mhm.
I don't think it's gone. I think they're with us for quite a while more.
All right, all right. And last thing, pizza.
Pizza, like as
Yeah,
in the food? Oh,
yeah.
pizza is an art form. Yeah. So the thing is, though, I think it's already like crazy popular, right? But
Mhm. So you think it is where it is? Just keep it like that,
yeah,
or
I think it is where it is. Yeah, but I grew up in Rhode Island, and Rhode Island is I don't know if you know this, a very Italian place,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Kind of like well, you're not too far from Philly, has like that strong Italian neighborhood. Chicago does as well, but Rhode Island more than most people think. There was even a TV show for a time, it didn't last very long, called Federal Hill, that was about, of course there was a mob component because it was a TV show, right? But yeah, but Rhode Island is a very Italian place, so you would think I only like a traditional pizza, but I'm very open-ended to weird toppings on pizza. So if we're going to narrow it down to that, kind of like exotic, unusual, people experiment with pizza, then I would say underrated because I'm game for that. Some people would say no way, it should always
Uh,
be very traditional, but I'm not a traditionalist with pizza.
okay, okay. Well, that was the end of the overrated, underrated segment. That was a lot of fun, so I think I'll keep that going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I usually end every podcast with a data nugget, and today, what I would like to say, based off of our conversation and just some research that I've done in the past, that data is everywhere, right? We already know that, and that in order for it to be valuable to the customer, and in order for it to be valuable for them to make better decisions, better business decisions, there needs to be some type of work done behind the scenes for a clear picture to be painted. And this is the type of work that I believe Keith has worked on for years, dealing with SPSS and some stuff that I'm even doing now with R. There's a lot of work, data mining, right? All that stuff going behind the scenes. That's very important, right? Preparing the data, to be visible for that end user. So definitely hone in on that and make sure that you don't skip the process. Anything that you want to add in there, Keith?
Well, usually I like to just kind of give people an idea of how to, well, on the data piece, I will say this one thing. This would be, I haven't managed a lot of teams. I've managed a lot of projects,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't done a huge amount of hiring over the years. Some, but my favorite interview question would be related to data as you describe it, which is if I was going to be doing an interview with a young data scientist, the question I would ask them is, tell me about a time that the data seemed to indicate one thing, but you scratched the surface and it was telling you something quite different.
Mm-hmm.
If it cannot produce a single story about something like that happening, they haven't spent some serious time with data, or they're just too trusting of what the data seems to be telling them. So that's kind of an interesting spin on that, I think.
That is. Because when they have done the carrying and feeding, and they've gone through the process of the all the different stages, transforming it, prepping, all that stuff, by the end of it, when you're doing the analysis on it, you might have gone in. There's plenty of times you go in with one thought, right? Or you go in with one hypothesis, whatever it is, or whatever you think is going to come out of it, and then it should tell you a lot of times something different, right? If you spent the time to, it might tell you exactly what you're looking for, but also you should come out with some more information, at the end of the day. So yeah, that's a great point.
There's always surprises in there. So if you're not finding anything surprising, you're not looking hard enough. Yeah, that's how I would.
Nice. That should be a quote, man. Did you document that, man? You need to post some.
No, it does. Yeah, we'll have to play that back carefully and put it in italics somewhere.
Yeah. Well, again, so thank you all for listening to the Data is My Science podcast, the show that makes data your passion. I am your host, Dapper Data, as usual. Keith, I just want to thank you so much. I had an awesome time. Thank you for being on the podcast. Where can they reach you at if they have any questions or they want to just have a conversation with you?
Well, because of my affiliation with LinkedIn Learning, I just find myself in the LinkedIn platform all the time, So I'm in there pretty much every business day, unless I'm traveling or something like that, which we haven't been doing lately. So following me on LinkedIn is the number one way to keep up to what I'm doing. And I'll, on average, put some kind of LinkedIn Learning lecture out there in my feed, which makes that lecture free temporarily, like every week. So if someone just follows me on LinkedIn, hopefully they'll pick up some cool things, but they'll get a feel for what the courses are like without even having to try the trial, just by monitoring my feed. And if they like it, then they can check out the courses.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing: you have one subscriber here right now. I am right after this. I'm definitely getting on there, and I'm going to start trying to check out some stuff. But in order for them to get in LinkedIn Learning, if they wanted to subscribe, right, they need to get the premium LinkedIn.
Well, there's two ways. So you can do a plan that's just LinkedIn Learning itself. And, it's definitely paid, but it seems to be, pretty reasonable. But if someone's in the middle of a job search right now, or they're like in their last year of college or something like that, so there are those special packages that are really designed for job searchers. I've been on the job market in a while, so I don't really know all the things that are offered in those packages. But a lot of those packages include LinkedIn Learning as a bonus. So it's either of those ways. You can just do it directly where you're just paying for LinkedIn Learning, or you can get it as a bundle as part of these other things. I don't know a whole lot about that side of it. But again, if someone's just not sure, there's a trial. And then the other thing they can do is just simply follow me. And pretty much every week I'm pushing some kind of free content out, because LinkedIn Learning gives me a way of pushing a lecture out to my feed, which makes it free to the feed.
Right. Is there anything that you have any conferences or speaking engagements coming up or anything like that? I know for me, I want to put out there that, if anybody wanted to pick up this one book, I just purchased it. Keith was co-author on it. It's so far, it tells its story, but then it goes into some real detailed information. The SPSS, Statistics for Data Analysis and Visualization book. That book is, that's right there. I'm using that right now during my quantitative analysis course as a book that I decided to read on the side while I'm doing it. So that's one thing I recommend, to the audience. But is there anything else that you have going on or you recommend?
Well, that's definitely the book that I'm the most proud of, and I think it's gonna stand the test of time quite well, because usually with a point-and-click book, you worry about things being out of date. And for something like SPSS, Statistics for Dummies, which my co-author and I have written a couple of editions for now, that's the kind of thing where Wiley does get us to rewrite it every couple of years. But that other book that you mentioned, the material in there hasn't changed, and it's powerful stuff. I mean, techniques that are so amazing that people aren't usually that familiar with, like correspondence analysis and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I love that book. And then I guess maybe on the LinkedIn Learning side, maybe if someone did a trial and they would say, well, which of like there's dozen courses here, which one should I watch first? Maybe the non-technical skills of data scientists would be the first one that they should check out, because we were talking about the soft skills. So there's a course specifically on that. Or if they're studying data science and graduation isn't that far away and they're wondering if getting a corporate job is the only option, and they're wondering if they might want to be an independent consultant, like I've been most of my career, I did a course on side hustle for data scientists.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, again, thank you, Keith. I really appreciate you. As always, everybody here, you all can follow me on all the social media platforms: Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, at Mr. Dapper Data. That's at MRDAPPER Data. And also the link is in the bio. I am doing a data analytics podcast coming up soon. And I'm also going to be on a data analytics conference coming up soon as well, speaking on social media analytics and return on investment, as we just talked about. Yeah. So return on investment is huge, a great opportunity for business individuals that want to learn and study the data analytics side as well. So again, subscribe, and thank you all. Thank you, Keith. It was a pleasure.
I enjoyed it very much.